Hi, I'm Richard Ross. I teach youth ministry at Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth. Really happy to be with you. I want to teach you something that I think will be helpful to those of you that stand before parents of teenagers. You know, a lot of us have figured out, either through research or through Scripture, we just have figured out that mom and dad have the potential for being the most important spiritual influence in the life of a teenager. I want to show you a way to show parents how that really happens. You see, if my son were here today, he's 20, he's a college student, we have just finished coming through the teenage years. If my son Clayton were here today, I would ask him to stand right here in front of me because I could make an interesting point with his standing here. I would ask you, how does my faith as a dad move over on my son? Now, I've discovered all across the United States, Christian parents don't know the answer to that question. They may hope and desire to have influence on their kids. They really don't understand specifically how their faith moves down one generation. If my son actually were here today, I know I would use a symbol, an illustration, to make a very valuable point. My faith moves to the next generation primarily through a conduit. You might say a pipe. Something is moving from my heart to the heart of my son. If it is going to move at all, it is a heart connection. Now, $64,000 question would be, if there is something that connects parents and teenagers, if faith is just going to move through one specific function, then what is that function? What is it? What is the symbol? What is the connection between hearts that enables faith to become important to a teenager? All of Scripture, all of research, same conclusion. The pipeline is a relationship. It is the quality, it is the nature of the relationship between the parent and the teenager that primarily will determine, does faith move easily? Think about it from a teenager's point of view. If I'm a teenager and I just love my dad, I respect him, I think he's a good man, I can detect that his faith is a genuine faith. We talk about things, we spend time together, the relationship is there. If that is true, then as his son or daughter, I want what's inside this man. I am intrigued with what makes him tick. His faith is important to me. But what if the relationship isn't there? What if I almost hate this guy? What if every time we try to have a conversation, we end up screaming at each other? What if he's hurt me in the past? Well, somebody could scream at him at church, I guess, and make him come home and be religious, and maybe he walks down the hallway saying, you kids get off your computers, you get in here, we're going to say a prayer, you come in here right now. Okay, we might sit down and do something religious, but will that have any impact in my life as a teenager? No. Why? The pipeline is not in place. There is nothing from his heart to my heart to carry his faith. This is essential. And I don't think most parents understand this. I think they somehow believe magically, if I'm a good Christian at home, maybe somehow magically that's just going to get all over my son or my daughter. I have not found that to be the case. There's nothing in Scripture that would indicate that that's true. There is nothing in research that would suggest that is true. In fact, I want you to watch this. Last verse of the Old Testament. God knows 400 years of silence is coming. So what does He allow to be the last verse of the Old Testament? Most of you know. Watch. Speaking of the Messianic age that will come, the prophet says, and He will turn the hearts of the parents to the children, and turn the hearts of the children to the parents. You see, it is a heart connection. 400 years of silence, and now the New Testament opens, and I mean it opens with the speech of an angel to Zechariah. And that angel in his opening speech, after 400 years of silence, says, and He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children. It is an essential principle. Now watch. If I, as a parent, desire to have a spiritual influence on my teenager, there are things that can happen that pull this out of my heart. Screaming would be one example. Just berating a teenager, being verbally abusive, demeaning a teenager, slamming a door in his face, calling him bad names. All of those things are illustrations of family experiences that can break, that can harm intimacy. But there are some families that never scream. They never say bad words. Mom and dad are just distracted. They're chasing the almighty dollar. Even people in ministry get so preoccupied with their vocational role that they are gone too much. The effect is exactly the same. Because a parent is distracted and disengaged, the thing gets pulled out of their heart. Now, while that heart connection is broken, a parent may still wish that they were important to their teenager. The fact is, nothing is really flowing at that point. Now, let me be the teenager. By whatever set of circumstances, if the relationship has been broken, you need to know the teenager's not going to leave that alone. If they have a pipe in their heart, but it is now disconnected on the other end, especially in adolescence, they more and more turn their focus from mom and dad in the home to this big, exciting world outside the home. And more of their attention turns to these people. Far beyond what's normal developmentally, they are so fascinated with relationships because subconsciously they're trying to make up for the intimacy they've lost at home. Finally, they will find 1, 2, 3 soulmates, people kind of like them, thunk, and they will give them their heart. Now, the pipe continues doing what it was created to do. It's still sucking in. But instead of sucking in the mature faith and values of godly parents, it is sucking in whatever happens to be connected to it in terms of peers. And what those peers say now begins to carry much weight because they have my heart. Some of you in student ministry build great programs, great ministries, and you almost beat your head against the wall saying, why don't these kids get it? Why don't I see spiritual growth happening more often in their lives? The issue could be those students may be living with broken heart connections with parents. They may have replaced that with heart connections with peers, and now spiritually the pipeline you need to be using for spiritual growth is not available. In other teaching modules, I want to show you how to restore relationships, how to get mom and dad and teenagers to turn their hearts back toward each other. The exciting thing about that is when the heart connection is restored, generally spiritual impact begins flowing again. That can take us brand new places in student ministry.